So this was my last soccer cleat of my athletic career, the last shoe I ever wore playing a sport. And so these are the collection of some of the sports things that I have from my career that is now over, but I still like to talk about it because it's an important part of my life. My TBI is considered mild on the scale.
Traumatic brain injury has often been referred to as an invisible injury, and particularly for individuals who have mild traumatic brain injury. And that term is a misnomer because the effects or the consequences of mild traumatic brain injury can be actually very severe.
It is visible that I have larger pupils now because of the injury. One might not be able to tell that I have trouble following things with my eyes, and so it's more difficult to track things. Also with my light sensitivity, someone might not really know that I'm in pain every time I go outside and I'm in the sunlight. So they're very dark, specifically, so they're prescription. I wear them every time I go outside because the light's too painful for my head to deal with. I also used to have noise sensitivity, and that can't be seen, so even when I would go into a school, if I would hear lockers or a bell, then that would be really difficult to deal with, and my headaches would get worse.
What we used to call folks who were struggling with the challenges caused by, quote, a mild brain injury, you use the phrase, walking wounded. You look good, you sound good, you speak well, you're walking without too much difficulty or without any difficulty. Your hands are moving. You can read. You can write. So what's wrong with you? Many things are wrong with you. And put them all together, you have a very complex situation and very hard to diagnose.
I have to stare at each circle of different colors, and they're to be put at different distances so that I work on my depth perception. And so with the first one, I'm supposed to see an X through this, so the strings will separate, and then more and more as I go out, I'll become less cross-eyed, and then going back in, I become more cross-eyed, and I have to hold the gaze on each dot for a certain amount of time so that I am trained to be able to see in that depth. What I do is I have to follow the tinfoil on top of the stick in different directions. And those directions are vertically, the depth direction, and horizontally. And all I have to do is follow the dot of the tinfoil with my eyes and without moving my head. And I do all of these every day to help with, again, my concentration, my eye tracking, and help reduce my pupil size and my headaches. Should be done about 3 times a day.
People who sustain concussions are not to be taken lightly. There's no head injury that should be ignored. And there's a tremendous amount of knowledge regarding concussions. And I think to say that I had a bump on the head, you need to be checked out. And if you feel you're not being checked out well enough, then seek another opinion. Call the brain injury support groups and chapters in your state and find out where you should call if you do not know.